Eventually, your lawyer's going to find out if you try to hide something.
That's not an uncommon situation. They think that it's going to cause them to be ineligible.
Hi, I'm Ryan Barshop. I'm an American immigration attorney based in Southeast Asia.
Hi, I'm David Enterline. I'm a U.S. immigration lawyer. I've worked and lived in Asia for over 30 years.
All right. So as partners in Enterline and Associates, what does a client need to prepare before they visit you for a consultation? And what does that consultation look like from beginning to finish?
Well, consults are always scheduled in advance is the first thing. Usually we give them, when they're scheduled, we usually give them the list. We already have a general idea of what their situation is. So we'll ask them to, depending on what it is, we'll ask them to prepare some basic documents in advance. We'll review those before the consult. By the time we start the consult, we're ready. The consult has a lot of in-depth, we asked a lot of detailed questions, such as, who is in a family case, who is the petitioner, who's the beneficiary, whenever kids involved. I'll review their documentation. For example, I want to know if there are any issues with their civil document, any issues with the birth certificates, if there were previous marriages, was those marriages properly dissolved or terminated by a divorce, annulment, or death. We'll ask them some questions about the relationship. Ask them a number of issues such as, do you have any, would there be any issues, criminal issues on either the petitioner's side and the beneficiary's side that might prevent them from getting a visa. And we get to know that. We get a feeling of what their situation is and how we can help them. During the consult, we will be very direct with them if we can help them. Now, there are some people who schedule consult with us, and upon discussing their situation, we realize we can't help them. Either they're time barred, let's say they're no longer eligible for the benefit based on age or based on the passage of time, or they may not be eligible for the benefit based on a criminal history, or they're just not eligible completely because they have an impediment that would help them. So we're always very direct. If we can help them, when we feel that this is something we've helped them out with, we will offer them a professional fee engagement agreement, and we'll spell out the terms of the agreement during the call, and then of course, or during the meeting, and then afterwards, we'll send them a formal engagement agreement for their review and consideration. But if we can't help them, then we'll make it clear. Now, there are situations sometimes where it's unclear if we can help them. It says, look, we don't have an answer right now, so just give us a couple of days or so to get back to you. And if we do find out we can help them, we'll inform them, yes, I believe we can help you. Here's our engagement agreement for your review. If you have any questions, get back to us. And then many clients do get back to us and want to proceed, but there are others who say we give them time. So give them time before they want to commit. So we always want to be respectful of clients' decisions.
Many of our consultations happen in person. Our Vietnamese clients can visit our office. It's in Thảo Điền, in one of the districts outside of downtown Ho Chi Minh City. We have a nice office, nice conference room. Our staff is there to help with interpretation, and it's actually very quick to reach from the downtown area of Ho Chi Minh City.
What are some of the questions that you are going to ask clients that they have to prepare truthful answers for? And what are some of those that you've seen people kind of tell their own interpretation of the truth, but maybe they skip some embarrassing things that they need to be completely upfront about?
So in a consultation, first I will give a brief introduction to myself and my background and my experience. I also advise the client that as U.S. attorney, our discussion remains confidential. I want them to be comfortable, understand that anything that they tell me remains confidential, remains a secret. We're not going to divulge any information outside of that meeting. Usually I may already have an idea about what issue they want to come talk about, so I'm already prepared to ask certain types of questions. In many cases, we'll provide a questionnaire in advance and ask them to bring documents to the consultation, documents that I want to review in order to analyze their case and in the situation. And then depending on the type of case, you may have a series of questions to ask the client to get background information so we can fully analyze the situation. Yeah. And then usually if I understand what they're seeking, what type of visa, I'll go through the process step by step, from gathering documents and information to preparing the necessary petition form to the immigration service, and upon approval of the petition, moving to the visa application stage, and then explaining how that works. And then eventually I'll end up at a U.S. consulate for a visa interview, and we'll explain the visa interview process. and then they issue their visa and they fly to the U.S. So that would be kind of the towards the end of the consultation. And then I'm always happy to share what our fees are and how they're paid in installments many times, and then the costs and fees, the government body fees and such, so that at the end they're getting that information.
All right. And what are some of the surprises that come up during these consultations where clients might say, oh, I wasn't expecting that question? Let me think about that. Things that they might need to prepare.
When we get into the process, the step-by-step process, many times clients, they're not very clear on that process. And so they may be surprised, for example, with the timing and how long the process might take. Also, the government filing fees add up. There's a number of different fees you have to pay along the way. They may not realize of the filing fee costs. Sometimes I'm surprised because they may have not divulged something early on, and then later on when we're having a further discussion and I think they feel comfortable, they may share with me some issues or some facts that might affect their case. More of a surprise to me than it is for them.
I would also like to add in, it's really important from the beginning of the offset of the case during the consult, and especially, is to be 100% honest with your lawyer, because eventually your lawyer is going to find out if you try to hide something. And when you hide, many lawyers can work with bad duties. Many lawyers cannot work with uncertainty. So by coming clean, telling us what the issue is, even if you think it's bad, we need to know, because if we find out now, we can change our direction early on. If we find out very late, it's just going to delay your process considerably. We have one case going on right now. Had we known from the very beginning what the problem was, we would have had a whole different course of action 6 years ago. But because they didn't tell us until the very end, then now it's going to take 3 or 4 more years before they get their benefit. But it could have been, we could have had a whole other action, and then they could have been in the U.S. by now had they been upfront with us.
That's not an uncommon situation in which a client will not tell us something because for a visa or cause a lot of problems. So they just don't tell us, they read online or somebody's told them, no, you can't do that. And we need to know, because many times, okay, it may be a problem, but we could deal with it, right? There's a solution.
How do these things surface later on? Just through the conversations with clients?
No, for documentation.
Oh.
If for example, if the U.S. citizen, for example, doesn't disclose to us a prior marriage, and then we get something called a request for evidence or an RFE from the Immigration Services, they're gonna find that out. Or if a U.S. citizen had a criminal history that makes them ineligible to petition their beneficiary, we're going to find that out. But the beneficiary, the same thing. Let's say, for example, they had a prior marriage that wasn't dissolved. Well, the documentation is going to show that. And we may not get it now, but eventually they're going to find out later. Or if the beneficiary, more importantly, has a criminal history, then we check the police records, the clearances, and it shows a criminal history. Said, had we known this in the beginning, we would have taken a whole nother course of action. So it's so critical that you tell us now. Sometimes people tell us too late, tell us later on. We can still resolve it, but there are some people, because they call us they were informed us too late in the process, it destroys their case, and it's not fixable.
Now, for anyone looking to work with an immigration lawyer, what tips do you have for them to kind of just relax, feel comfortable, just splurging to these people who are probably going to be perfect strangers?
Licensed attorneys, for the overwhelming majority of licensed attorneys, are honest, decent, and ethical. They're here to help. But to be helped, the client needs to divulge all the information and everything, even if it's embarrassing. Because even if it's bad, a good lawyer can work with bad news. But no lawyer, good or bad, can work with uncertainty. If you're interested in acquiring a U.S. visa, or if you have any questions about the immigration process, or you'd like to speak to an immigration attorney that's based in Southeast Asia, you can contact us directly at info@enterlineandpartners.com.
We can help you no matter where you are around the world. We operate fully 100% through modern technology, so you don't have to meet us personally. We're happy to get on a call with you, do a Zoom.
And lastly, but not importantly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on YouTube.